All right, so welcome back. We're going to do Act 3, Scene 5 here. This is the last scene in Act 3, and it's a pivotal scene for the rest of the play. As we just read in Scene 4, we've got Lord Capulet in Paris, and Lord Capulet thinks he's going to cheer Juliet up because she's sad. She's in her room crying. He doesn't know why. And so he decides to allow Paris to marry Juliet. He says, I think that she'll listen to me. And so we'll make that happen. Paris says, I wish that tomorrow was Thursday, right? As you can see up here, the top line on your screen. And they are going to head out. Scene 5, as we begin, we've got Romeo in Juliet's room. Okay, it says aloft. Sometimes this might be shown where they're like on the balcony together, or sometimes they're in the room. But it's just barely starting to become daytime. The sun is barely starting to rise, and so it begins with them like they did earlier in the play. They're kind of flirting a little bit, but they're using they're talking about these birds. And they hear a bird singing, and they're arguing about what kind of bird it is. Is it the nightingale or is it the lark? Because if it's the nightingale, then that means that it's still nighttime and Romeo can stick around for a little bit. But if it's the lark, then that means that it's morning, and so Romeo's got to go because remember, he's been banished from Verona and he is supposed to be out of town already. And if anyone finds him, then the word is to kill him. So he needs to make his escape as quickly as possible if it is indeed the lark. And so they have this little conversation about that, a little bit of flirting as they have their kind of last moment here. Of course, Juliet doesn't know about the deal that Lord Capulet made with Paris. That's coming very soon. So Act 3, Scene 5, here we go.
Scene 5, an open gallery to Juliet's chamber, overlooking the garden. Enter Romeo and Juliet.
Wilt thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale and not the lark that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on yond pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale.
It was the lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale. Look, love, what envious streaks do lace the severing clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live, or stay and die.
Yond light is not daylight, I know it, I. It is some meteor that the sun exhales to be to thee this night a torch-bearer, and light thee on the way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet, thou needst not be gone.
Let me be ta'en, let me be put to death. I am content, so thou wilt have it so. I'll say yon grey is not the morning's eye, 'tis but the pale reflex of Cynthia's brow. Nor that is not the lark whose notes do beat the faulty heavens so high above our heads. I have more care to stay than will to go. Come, death, and welcome. Juliet wills it so. How is't my soul? Let's talk. It is not day.
It is, it is. Hie, hence, be gone, away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasing sharps. Some say the lark makes sweet division. This doth not so, for she divideth us. Some say the lark and loathed toad change eyes. Oh, now I would they had changed voices too, since arm from arm that voice doth us affray, hunting thee hence with hunts up to the day. Now be gone, more light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes.
Very good. So they're as they're talking back and forth, at first Juliet is saying that it's the nightingale and you should stay. It's not the sun rising that you're seeing, it's a meteor that's lighting your way to Mantua. You can stay. You don't need to leave. And Romeo knows it's the lark. And he says, let me be taken. Let me be put to death. Let me stay here. Juliet wills it. And then finally, Juliet says, okay, fine. It's the lark. You should go. And then the last two lines here that rhyme, Juliet says, be gone, more light and light it grows. She's noticing it's getting lighter outside. You better get out. And Romeo says, yes, as it gets lighter out, our woe gets darker. Our situation gets worse and more difficult as the sun comes out. So the nurse enters, and she's been kind of keeping lookout outside Juliet's room for her. And she says that Lady Capulet is on her way, so she needs to be ready for that. And Romeo needs to leave. So you're going to see here the lovers are going to have their like sad goodbye as Romeo finally actually leaves and is on his way to Mantua, where he's been exiled to. So here we go.
Enter nurse.
Madam,
Nurse?
your lady mother is coming to your chamber. The day is broke. Be wary. Look about.
Exit.
Then window, let day in and let life out.
Farewell, farewell. One kiss and I'll descend.
Descends.
Art thou gone so? My lord, my love, my friend, I must hear from thee every day of the hour, for in a minute there are many days. Oh, by this count I shall be much in years ere I again behold my Romeo.
Farewell. I will omit no opportunity that may convey my greetings, love, to thee.
Oh, think'st thou we shall ever meet again?
I doubt it not, and all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our time to come.
Oh, God, I have an ill divining soul. Methinks I see thee now thou art below, as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Either my eyesight fails, or thou look'st pale.
And trust me, love, in my eyes so do you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu. Adieu.
All right, he exits. This set of lines here, Juliet asks if we'll ever meet again, and Romeo says, I doubt it not, right? We'll meet again, and all these woes will serve for sweet discourses in our times to come. So all these things that are like so sad to us now, in the future, once we get together again, we'll laugh about it, right? There'll be sweet discourses, happy stories in the future. And Juliet has this like premonition, this foreshadowing here. Methinks I see thee as one dead in the bottom of a tomb, right? So she's looking down, she sees Romeo standing down below. She's on the balcony again. And you're so far down, it looks like you're dead in the bottom of a tomb. And Romeo looks up and he says, yeah, so do you, right? And it's this sadness that they're feeling, but it's also this weird foreshadowing for us because we know what's going to happen at the end of the play. A pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. And so we read that and that should light up the bells in your head like, uh-oh, because we know what's going on here. Okay. So dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu, adieu. Juliet, he leaves. Juliet has one little prayer, little hope that Romeo will come back. And then Lady Capulet answers, and she thinks that she's about to give Juliet some really good news. Juliet disagrees.
Exit below.
Oh, fortune, fortune, all men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? Be fickle, fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back.
Within.
Oh, daughter, are you up?
Who is that calls? Is it my lady mother? Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procures her hither?
Enter Lady Capulet.
Why, how now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Evermore weeping for your cousin's death? What? Wilt thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live. Therefore have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit.
So remember, Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, was killed. And so that's what Lady Capulet is saying here. Like, you're not well. You're crying over Tybalt. Are you going to wash him from his grave with tears? What's the point? You're not going to bring him back to life. It's over. And so Juliet is crying as she has been because of Romeo's banishment and because Romeo is actually gone now. But as it turns out, of course, this is a good excuse for her, right? That it's about the death of her cousin that she says she's crying about. And as these two speak here in this scene, as Juliet and Lady Capulet speak to each other, notice what Juliet says and what Lady Capulet thinks Juliet is saying, right? What's the message that she receives based on what Juliet says here? So here we go.
Yet let me weep for such a feeling loss.
So shall you feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for.
Feeling so the loss, I cannot choose but ever weep the friend.
Well, girl, thou weepst not so much for his death, as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
What villain, madam?
That same villain, Romeo.
Villain and he be many miles asunder. God pardon him, I do with all my heart, and yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That is because the traitor murderer lives.
I, madam, from the reach of these my hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death.
All right, so here's the first one, right? Juliet says, no man like he doth grieve my heart, right? And it's true, no man like Romeo does grieve her heart. But remember, we know that what that means is she's sad because he's banished. And what Lady Capulet thinks is she's sad because Romeo's alive and he killed Tybalt. That's because the traitor murderer lives. And Juliet says, yes, I'm sad because Romeo lives away from the reach of my hands, right? She makes it sound like that she wants to avenge Tybalt's death, but what we really know is she wants to hold Romeo in her arms because she loves him, and would none but I might venge my cousin's death. She doesn't want anybody else to kill Romeo. She wants it to be her job because, of course, she would keep him safe, right? And then Lady Capulet says that they're going to send someone to Mantua to poison Romeo, and Juliet has some other good double meanings here in her next little bit. So here we go.
We will have vengeance for it, fear thou not. Then weep no more. I'll send to one in Mantua, where that same banished runagate doth live. Shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep Tybalt company. And then, I hope, thou wilt be satisfied.
Indeed, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him dead. Is my poor heart so for a kinsman vexed? Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it, that Romeo should, upon receipt thereof, soon sleep in quiet. Oh, how my heart abhors to hear him named, and cannot come to him, to wreak the love I bore my cousin Tybalt upon his body that hath slaughtered him.
All right, so again, a double meaning at the beginning here. She says, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him dead is my poor heart. So it could be what Lady Capulet believes. I never shall be satisfied with Romeo until I see him dead. Okay. My poor heart is for my kinsman. But what Juliet means is I will never be satisfied with Romeo until I see him dead is my poor heart. Right. She says her heart is dead because she doesn't get to see Romeo. So she says what she means, but she says it in such a way that makes it sound like she and Lady Capulet agree, which of course they don't. So Lady Capulet's about to change the subject here. She's about to give what she believes is happy news. Juliet will disagree, as I said. Here we go.
Find thou the means, and I'll find such a man. But now I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
And joy comes well in such a needy time. What are they, I beseech your ladyship?
Well, thou hast a careful father, child, one who, to put thee from thy heaviness, hath sorted out a sudden day of joy, that thou expectest not, nor I looked out for.
Madam, in happy time, what day is that?
Marry, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant, young and noble gentleman, the County Paris at St. Peter's Church, She'll happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Now by St. Peter's church, and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste, that I must wed ere he that should be husband comes to woo. I pray you tell my lord and father, madam, I will not marry yet, and when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, whom you know I hate, rather than Paris. These are news indeed.
All right, so Thursday, 2 days, and she'll marry Paris. This is supposed to be happy news. Juliet disagrees. He shall not make me there a joyful bride, it says. I wonder at this haste, why is it so fast? Do I have to wed before the person I'm supposed to marry is even gonna like come try and flirt with me, try to date me? Like, that seems awfully fast. I will not marry yet, and when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, who you know I hate, rather than Paris, right? Of course, we know that she actually is married to Romeo already. That's the reason that she doesn't want to marry Paris. That's the reason she's all fired up here. And Lady Capulet says, okay, fine. You don't want to marry him. All right, but you're going to have to tell Dad because he set this all up for you. So let's see how he takes it. Lord Capulet and the nurse enter the scene. He's sad about Juliet being sad, but he's excited about the idea of Juliet marrying Paris. And so he's checking in. And at first, it sounds like he's very caring. But then his attitude changes when he learns that Juliet won't marry Paris. And he says a lot of things. So here we go. I always call this the Lord Capulet scene. It's the angry Lord Capulet scene. So here we go.
Here comes your father. Tell him so yourself, and see how he will take it at your hands.
Enter Capulet and nurse.
When the sun sets, the air doth drizzle dew. But for the sunset of my brother's son, it rains downright. How now, a candid girl, what still in tears? Evermore showering? In one little body thou counterfeit'st a bark, a sea, a wind. For still thy eyes, which I may call the sea, do ebb and flow with tears. The bark thy body is, sailing in this salt flood. The winds thy sighs, who, raging with thy tears, and they with them, without a sudden calm, will overset thy tempest-tossed body. How now, wife, have you delivered to her our decree?
Aye, sir, but she will none. She gives you thanks. I would the fool were married to her grave.
Soft, take me with you. Take me with you, wife. How? Will she none? Doth she not give us thanks? Is she not proud? Doth she not count her blessed, unworthy as she is, that we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bridegroom?
Not proud you have, but thankful that you have. Proud can I never be of what I hate, but thankful even for hate that is meant love.
Okay, so Juliet's really trying to say thanks, but no thanks, right? I hate this. I can never be proud of it. But even though it's meant to be love, even though you mean well, like I can still be thankful, even if it's not what I want. Lord Capulet's not going to like that. Lady Capulet said she won't marry him. I wish the fool were married to her grave. Interesting. Remember early in the play when Juliet said something like, if Romeo is married, then my grave will be my wedding bed. Lord Capulet like doesn't believe it at first, like she's unworthy and we've got this amazing guy to marry her. And when Juliet says thanks but no thanks, speaks up for herself, Lord Capulet loses it and he calls her a lot of creative things here. So how, here we go.
How now, chop logic? What is this? Proud, and I thank you not, and yet not proud? Mistress Minion, you thank me no thankings, nor proud me no prouds, but fettle your fine joints gainst Thursday next, to go with Paris to St. Peter's Church, or I will drag thee on a hurdle thither. Out you green sickness carrier, out you baggage, you tallow face.
Okay, so he's calling her all these names, right? Thank me, no thankings, proud me, no prouds. Fettle your fine joints to go to Paris to St. Peter's Church. Get yourself there, okay? Or I will drag thee on a hurdle thither. And when he says drag thee on a hurdle, what he's referring to is, when we say hurdle, he means like a cart that they would use to drag dead bodies around. And so instead of, if you won't get yourself there, then I'm going to drag you there like a dead body. And then he calls her carry on, which is like dead meat. You baggage, you tallow face. That's even a little bit much for Lady Capulet. She's like, dude, are you crazy? What, are you mad? Juliet says, please listen to me. And then Lord Capulet just has even more words for her.
Fie, what are you, mad?
Good father, I beseech you on my knees, hear me with patience but to speak a word.
Hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wretch. I tell thee what, get thee to church o' Thursday, or never after look me in the face. Speak not, reply not, do not answer me. My fingers itch. Wife, we scarce thought us blessed that God had lent us but this only child, but now I see this one is one too much, and that we have a curse in having her. Out on her, Hilding.
So remember early in the play, Lord Capulet didn't want Paris to marry Juliet, and the reason he gave for that was that, or one of the reasons was she was too young. Another reason was that they only had one daughter left, right? They only had one child, and so he wasn't ready to let her go. But now he says, even having this one daughter, this one child, is one too much. It's a curse to have her. So pretty extreme mood swing for Lord Capulet from the beginning of the play to right now. And he's so angry and frustrated. The nurse even here tries to like speak up for Juliet. Lady Capulet very soon says, you are too hot, meaning you're too angry. But he won't have it, and he goes off even more. So his anger just gets higher and higher and more intense throughout this entire scene.
God in heaven bless her. You are to blame, my lord, to rate her so.
And why, my lady Wisdom? Hold your tongue. Good Prudence, smatter with your gossips. Go.
I speak no treason.
Oh, God ye good.
May not one speak?
Peace, you mumbling fool. Utter your gravity or a gossip's bowl, for here we need it not.
You are too hot.
God's bread, it makes me mad. Day, night, hour, time, tide, work, play, alone, in company, still my care hath been to have her matched. And having now provided a gentleman of noble parentage, of fair demeans, youthful and nobly trained, stuffed, as they say, with honourable parts, proportioned as one's heart would wish a man. And then to have a wretched, puling fool, a whining mammet in her fortune's tender, to answer, I'll not wed, I cannot love, I am too young, I pray you pardon me. But an you will not wed, I'll pardon you. Graze where you will, you shall not house with me. Look to't, think on't, I do not use to jest. Thursday is near, lay hand on heart, advise, and you be mine. I'll give you to my friend. And you be not hang, beg, starve, die of the streets, for by my soul I'll ne'er acknowledge thee, nor what is mine shall never do thee good. Trust to't, bethink you, I'll not be forsworn.
All right, he storms out. I imagine like slamming the door, whatever, right? A lot of really intense language there, really well-written, angry speech. And he says, if you won't wed, then graze where you will, you shall not house with me, right? He'll kick her out. And this is the point where usually students are like, why doesn't she just let him kick her out? Because doesn't she want to marry Romeo anyway? She can't do that in the Capulet household. And that's true. That's a good thought. To me, as I look at this and think about it, I think about, if she doesn't have the support from her family, how is this 13-year-old girl going to live, right? If he kicks her out, nobody's going to believe that she is the one who's in the right here, right? Everybody's going to think that Lord Capulet and the Capulet family are the ones who did the right thing by kicking her out of the house for whatever reason that is. And in this case, that reason would be refusing to marry Paris. So he says, and we see that right at the, I can't quite see it at the top of the screen here, but when he says, if you won't do this, hang, beg, starve, die in the streets. I'll never acknowledge you. Nothing that is mine will ever do you any good. So you better think real hard, right? And he storms out. Juliet then turns to her mother and says, please help me delay the marriage, right? Or if you won't delay the marriage, then you might as well make the bridal bed in the family grave where Tybalt is, because I'll die. And Lady Capulet is just like, I'm done with you.
Exit.
Is there no pity sitting in the clouds that sees into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet my mother, cast me not away. Delay this marriage for a month, a week, or if you do not, make the bridal bed in that dim monument where Tybalt lies.
Talk not to me, for I'll not speak a word. Do as thou wilt, for I have done with thee.
All right, so she says, do what you're gonna do, man. Like, I don't care, I'm done with you, right? She exits, and then Juliet rises, and finally she turns to the nurse, right? The nurse, the person who basically raised her, the person she trusts the most, the only person who knows about Romeo, and finally says, please, nurse, help me out. What can we do? Comfort me, right? And the nurse gives an answer that Juliet doesn't like either. So here we go.
Exit.
Oh God, oh nurse, how shall this be prevented? My husband is on earth, my faith in heaven. How shall that faith return again to earth unless that husband send it me from heaven by leaving earth? Comfort me, counsel me. Alack, alack that heaven should practice stratagems upon so soft a subject as myself. What sayest thou? Hast thou not a word of joy? Some comfort, nurse.
Faith, here 'tis. Romeo is banished, and all the world to nothing, that he dares ne'er come back to challenge you. Or if he do, it needs must be by stealth. Then, since the case so stands as now it doth, I think it best you married with the county. Oh, he is a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dish-clout to him. An eagle, madam, hath not so green, so quick, so fair an eye as Paris hath. Beshrew my very heart, I think you are happy in this second match, for it excels your first. Or if it did not, your first is dead. Or 'twere as good he were as living here, and you no use of him.
So the nurse has like been super excited about Paris the entire play. And she's been helping Juliet and all this. And now for a word of comfort, the nurse says, well, Romeo's banished. He can't come back. And so be things as they are. It's probably best if you just marry Paris, right? He's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dishcloth compared to him. Great comparison, she says. I think you're happy in this second match, in this match with Paris. It's better than matching with Romeo. And even if it wasn't, she says, Romeo might as well be dead. He's alive, but you don't have any use of him, right? There's nothing you can do, right? And so this is the turning point for the relationship between Juliet and the nurse, when she realizes that the nurse isn't going to help her get what she wants, which is to somehow escape this marriage with Paris, somehow find a way to be together with Romeo again.
Speakst thou this from thy heart?
And from my soul too, or else beshrew them both.
Amen.
What?
Well, thou hast comforted me marvelous much. Go in, and tell my lady I am gone, having displeased my father to Lawrence's cell, to make confession and to be absolved.
Marry, I will, and this is wisely done.
Exit.
Ancient damnation. Oh, most wicked feet.
All right, so she lies to the nurse, right? And says, oh, you've comforted me so much. But then she says, go tell my mother, I'm going to Friar Lawrence's cell to make confession. I confess I did something wrong. I displeased my father. Okay. The nurse says, oh, that's a good idea, and leaves. And as soon as she leaves, Juliet, like, I imagine her like shooting a dirty look at the door where the nurse went, and calls her ancient damnation, oh, most wicked fiend. So she says she's cutting the nurse off, and she's going to go to Friar Lawrence instead.
Is it more sin to wish me thus forsworn, or to dispraise my lord with that same tongue which she hath praised him with above compare so many 1,000 times? Go, counselor, thou and my bosom henceforth shall be twain. I'll to the friar to know his remedy. If all else fail, myself have power to die.
Exit.
All right, so that's the end of that scene, the end of Act 3, excuse me. She says, go, counselor, like, get out of here, nurse. You and me henceforth shall be twain. We're cut, we're separate, you're cut off. I'm not telling you anything anymore. I'm going to the friar to learn his remedy, to hear his advice. If he doesn't give me what I need, if all else fail, myself have power to die. So she's threatening once more to kill herself if Friar Lawrence won't help her postpone the marriage to Paris and get what she wants. So curtain closes, applause, end of Act 3. As we continue, Act 4 and 5 are both short. It's less reading. You can see on the bar here down below for the entire play. We are more than 2 hours through, and the whole thing is 2 hours and 58 minutes on this audiobook. So next one will be beginning Act 4, and we'll see Friar Lawrence and Juliet and that whole conversation there before we figure out what's going on with Romeo. So thanks for listening. That was Act 3, Scene 5.